It's officially springtime. It's a time where traditionally people like to spring clean their homes, to declutter, and to find space for the new. It's my favorite time of year. I'm very aware that spring cleaning and decluttering is in the eye of the beholder. Now, for those a bit like me, you might think clutter is actually quite distressing. It's disturbing, it's perturbing. You see, in my house, if you stand around long enough, you might even get put in the bin. Now, there's others that actually you love the comfort that clutter brings. My favorite TV series at the minute is BBC's Sort Your Life Out. And they go into people's home, if you're not aware, and I mean homes with excess stuff. So much stuff, and they come in and they actually help those people declutter their home. And in doing that, they bring real joy and contentment and happiness back into people's lives. Now, I'm no TV presenter, but I'm in my happy space, decluttering my home, where literally I morph into some female version of Tom Cruise on Mission Impossible, trying desperately to remove the redundant items under the eagle eyes of the hoarders in the house without getting caught. But I made a bit of a discovery last year. You see, when it comes to learning, I actually don't mind clutter. In fact, I enjoy the accumulation of learning and all that it brings into my life, into how I lead. I had become a bit like the scholar in the old proverb, which goes like this. Once upon a time, there was a wise master, and people traveled far and wide to seek out his truth. One day, a scholar came to visit, and he said, "Master, I have come so that you will teach me all that I can learn." Now, it soon became obvious that the scholar was so full of his own stories and his learning that he kept interrupting the master. And he didn't actually take any time to listen to what he had to say. So very calmly, the master said, "Let's have a cup of tea." So he poured his guest a cup of tea, and he kept pouring, and he kept pouring, and it went all over the table, onto the floor, all over his clothes. And he got up and he said, "My goodness, master, can't you see? My cup is already full." And the master smiled and he said, "Exactly. Your cup is so full you can fit nothing else in. Come back to me with an empty cup." As a professor of leadership, I have a track record over about 20 years. I'm learning and writing and researching. I'm teaching, I'm consulting, and I'm leading in the world of academia. Learning defines so much of who I am and what I do. I was given the gift of a sabbatical about 2 years ago. And it's a period of paid leave. It's a real privilege where you have the opportunity to reflect, to write, to research, to travel. What did I do? I wanted to learn some more, so I went back and I was studying. So you may think, well, what's the problem with that? In fact, if you're an academic or in the world of education, you say, that's actually very respectful. Good for you. You're staying up to date. You're staying sharp. You're curious. You're actually practicing what you preach, right? Not quite. The problem was clutter for me. The clutter of too much learning. The fact that with all of the learning, I had no space for what I really needed to learn in order to change and to grow. Then something happened. Last year, I experienced metanoia. Metanoia is the ancient Greek word that means to change one's heart and mind. Now, it happened at a time and a series of a number of disappointments and actually perceived failures in my life. A time when I was actually forced to hit the pause. I was forced to reflect. And that doesn't come easy to me. But oh my goodness, am I thankful for the forced revelation that self-awareness brings. My cup had overflowed. So why do we need to unlearn? Why is unlearning so important to be a better leader? It's like this. Leadership is socially constructed. So what I mean is that how we lead is actually shaped by our experiences. It's by what we learn and what we live through over time. But here's the headline. What you have learned is not always true. It's not always accurate. You see, over time, we actually grow and develop beliefs and assumptions that are actually sometimes based on incomplete information and inaccurate knowledge. And it's a bit like how Adam Grant describes. And he said, it's like going into the mind of three different professions. We lead like preachers who deliver sermons to promote and to protect their ideas. We lead like prosecutors, marshalling arguments to prove others right and wrong. And we lead like politicians who actually lobby and campaign for the approval of their constituents. Now, what's the risk if we don't unlearn as leaders? The risk is this. We become so wrapped up in preaching that we're right, prosecute those who we think are wrong, and politicking for support that we don't even bother to rethink. And we reinforce what we learn and what we know by what we want to learn and know. So what am I unlearning about leadership right now? I'm unlearning three things. The first thing that I'm learning is that leadership is not a simple process. It's actually a complex process of becoming. So for us leaders, we must be able to navigate complexity and contradiction and paradox if we want to see transformation. The second thing that I believe that I'm unlearning is the fact that leadership is not about a single person. Leadership is actually a plural process. It's an iteration of back and forth, but with others. There should not ever be one hero in the story. And thirdly, leadership learning. We don't always need to read more books. We don't always need to listen to more podcasts, go to more courses, meet more people. Less is more. We must take space, create margin, and invite others to help us declutter. So, how am I practicing this? Well, as they say, theory and practice are two different things, and I have to tell you, this is not easy. What looks simple and what sounds good on one hand is actually difficult. All change is loss. So regret, real regret, is central to the process of unlearning. What does that mean? That means you've got to let go. You've got to say no. And it's difficult because it's a balancing act. You see, it's not one or the other. I'm not here to argue for unlearning, but I'm here to say it's unlearning and unlearning together. We need both. So for the all or nothing people, before you go and ditch everything that you've ever learned, stop. Take stock, because there are important truths, there are important experiences that we must hold on to that are important. So, let's say yes to unlearning. It's through this door that we make room for possibility. In stepping through this doorway, we actually open and create the opportunity to role model strong and healthy leadership, which we need in order to effect real positive change in the world around us.